Hello again, and here we are at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 109. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. They truly don't. And today we have another question from Liz in Canada. Liz asks the best questions. She really does observe the paranormal world around us. And this question does not disappoint. Liz asks, who or what is in control of all the layers of paranormal beings and entities that are around us, especially if they're in one place all together? And here is what Liz put in her email. Hello again, Anna. I hope all is wonderful with you. Your response to my question back in episode 94 about does music soothe the savage beast made me wonder, what kind of control do the higher ranking beings have over all the different spirits and all the other entities that are roaming around? Whether the different spirits be benevolent, or whether they be just wandering the earth, or whether they be from the dark realm, whether they're the dark and the demonic beings. What I mean is, say for example again, if all different types of spirits and entities were in a concert hall, and say they're enjoying a stunning concert, who would be the one keeping everyone safe and in check? I'd like to think that the angelic beings are in charge, but I do wonder if they have some kind of arrangement between them, like kind of rules. And say some of the spirits there are our loved ones in the never after and they're hanging around the audience members. Will they flee if they know that there's a high-ranking member from the dark side present? So who or what is really in control? You'll probably say that we are. Well, maybe, but ultimately, I suspect that's true. But I would really love to know your thoughts and your opinion. Love from Liz in Toronto. And on the other hand, if this is a stupendously stupid question to ask, well, just ignore it. Just ignore the whole email. Now, first off, there are absolutely no stupid questions about the paranormal. It is an unknown area of knowledge, and no human knows it all. We just don't. We can observe, we can experience situations, and we can just form our own deductions and opinions. So, Liz, there are no stupid questions about the paranormal. And I love your questions. You think about the paranormal in a way that I don't. And I really do love answering people's questions with my experiences. And hopefully what I've experienced or what I know about the paranormal can help other people understand. So this is my response. Very interesting question, Liz, and I love the way that you think about the paranormal with an element of curiosity and a thought-provoking perspective about the paranormal world around us. So, are we, the humans, in control? Absolutely not. No way. This is not possible. We are only in control of our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our reactions. And some people can't even do that. So what hope have we got of even being aware of all the energy beings that are around us all the time? And the angelic beings, they aren't in control either. They are what I call supporters. They watch, they probably shake their heads and look at each other and go, oh my God, what are they doing? They're not allowed to interfere in the dark realm's actions. And they're not allowed to interfere, really, with the spirits that are roaming around on Earth. When spirits want to transition into the afterlife, they put out that intention, bam, there's Archangel Azrael, the archangel that helps with transitioning, and away the spirits go. So how I can explain in more detail using Liz's example of if all different types of spirits and entities are in a concert hall, and say they're all enjoying a stunning concert, who would be the one keeping everyone in check? Well, my answer is no one. They're all doing their own thing, possibly aware of each other, possibly not, and possibly not wanting. That's the other point. Not wanting to be aware of the other entities, especially the dark ones, if they do frighten them. So what could be happening in the one space? Spirits, like I mentioned earlier, just briefly, they can be reliving a loop of their previous existence with families or in a space, or say in the concert hall as a performer, enjoying the performance. Or maybe they're lonely and they like the people at the concert hall. Maybe they like the music. Maybe the company of the living satisfies their needs, just helps them not feel lonely anymore. Or maybe they're located there because they died there. Or maybe they worked there. Or sometimes, as malevolent in life, their soul energy is still the same in death until they cross over to the light, and they may have devious deeds in mind. Some spirits can be quite tricky. So they could be in a place running amok, causing all sorts of problems with lights flickering or items going missing, and just sitting back like the dark beings do and having a giggle when we, the living, are running around frantic, looking for things, or we've got problems with our electrics. Now, personalities, like I mentioned, they're soul-based. They're not in the physical bodies. Spirits, like all other entities, have their own agendas, and they may ignore the dark entities out of fear, or they just don't care. They just don't care about their presence. Now, dark beings, these are the lesser level of the dark realm. These are what I call the privates. These are the soldiers. These are the mischief makers. So they can be in a space, depending if they've been deployed there, or depending whether they're on time off, or whether they've been a bit naughty and gone AWOL, or they can be rebel factions, doing their own naughty, fun-loving things. Because they love to stir us up, because humans are so reactive. They stir up our emotions. They stir up our responses. They like to see us fighting amongst each other. They just get a kick out of it. It's just their thing. They're so funny. And when they're aware and when they know that you know what they're up to, I just don't know what they would get up to in a situation if someone was sitting there and knew exactly what they were doing. Someone like Liz was sitting in the audience going, I'm seeing everything that's going on. It would just blow my mind, like seriously. Dark beings can sometimes be in the employ of the demonic entities as part of a team. Or I like to think of the dark realm as having a military setup with all the different ranks. And the demonic level beings, a lot of them ones that I see, they are what I call the Legion Generals. Horns, hooves, they're in charge. Like they stand proud and they will put you in your place if your ego gets out of control. Now, the demonic beings are in places because of the enticing vibrations. We leave these vibrations in places, whether it be on the land or it could be in a concert hall. People feel the music and they create positive vibrations, but they're also thinking about all the worries and how much they hate someone, or they've got trouble at work and they're creating all those negative vibrations. So they can be feeding off people's unresolved issues and emotions, but they can also, while the spirits are roaming around these buildings, the demonic level entities can be feeding off spirits' emotional baggage. And sometimes that keeps the spirits here. It's almost a bit like they're trapped. They're sort of being held, possibly against their will. I'm not going to say definitely, because I'll probably get a slap for talking about the demonic beings that way. But I'm just putting it out there, how it possibly works. Because remember, humans don't know everything. But spirits have unresolved issues. Some of them are here because they don't know they've died, or they've got emotional issues, or they're tied to a place, or they want to give a message to the living, or they've been a bit naughty, like I mentioned earlier, and they've got really bad behaviours and they're a bit scared to transition into the afterlife. So the demonic beings will hang around where these spirits are, and then they've got the dark beings employed doing whatever they're doing in spaces. So these beings, these demonic level beings, they, like I talked about back in episode 94, they may be on the job in a place, doing their own thing, or they may be deployed there, or maybe they're overseeing something that is going on. They've got a team of dark energy beings in this place doing God knows what. I've never sat in a theatre and actually observed all these different levels of paranormal beings. I really do love Liz's question. I often wonder, like back in episode 94, the demonic beings, sometimes they've had enough of doing what they do. They've been there for eons, being in charge and having to run everything. And they're just like people sometimes. They're just tired of it all. And they might take a night out and go to a concert. They don't care what's going on in the background. There might be other beings running amok. They really don't care sometimes. They could simply be enjoying the beautiful music. Before continuing our spooky content, I'm excited to announce that you can now text my podcast. Yes, indeed, with a question or a comment, or even suggest a paranormal topic for a future episode. The feature doesn't allow me to respond to your text, but I will indeed give you a shout out in a future episode. And if you're interested in leaving a text, you'll find the text link in the show notes. So let's get back to our episode. So overall, there is no one person or angelic being or group of dark or demonic level beings in control of any other in the earth reality. They're just not. I imagine it would be quite chaotic if we could see and hear, well, some of us sort of feel what's going on in places. And to some level, all of the dimensions that are overlapping all in the same place at the same time. It really does boggle the mind. And I did forget to mention, on another level, I recently had some totally new interactions with another level of energy being that could be present in that theatre. It could be magic entities, could be summoned entities in places. Now, they only go with people. They're summoned to follow a person or for a person to have bad luck or issues in their lives to cause distress. Now, these beings can sometimes be present in places. It just is what it is. And also elementals. Now, elementals are what I call the nature carers. Now, I don't know a lot about them, but I do occasionally find them in people's homes or on the land. Now, the elementals that I've dealt with are gnomes and trolls. But there's also pixies, fairies, I imagine there will be elves. All of the elementals that we see in our stories, I mean, I'm sure they're real to some level, in some dimension that may be overlapping with ours, maybe not. But are they amongst some of these beings that are in the chaotic group of all the other beings in these places all at the same time? Are they aware of the others? I actually think that a lot of these beings would probably just stick to themselves. They would just be going about doing their own thing. And they really don't care for the others. I mean, elementals are interesting. I've dealt with trolls a lot. I've had 4 or 5 experiences. I know that 4 or 5 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking troll level energy beings, that is a lot. So trolls, they hang around us like bad smells. And I use that phrase because I had troll type beings who sometimes reside in human places and let off really bad stinks. Like they love our human homes. And there is a reason for that, which I talked about back in episode 4, and I think it was episode 95. So if you're interested in hearing about troll habits, you can check out those 2 episodes. So I hope you found this interesting today. And if you've got a question, if you want to know something about the paranormal, I am always open to give you an answer. If I know, if I can help you understand it on a more human level. So no question is stupid. No question is irrelevant. I love it when people think outside the box because that's what this podcast is about. So in episode 110, you get a somewhat eye-opening look into the sordid lives of sex entities, both freelance and summoned. Now, these are rather fascinating type of energy being. They're not harmful, but they're more than a little pleased to make you happy. Now, I know I did a whole episode on sex entities back in episode 11, but they were the freelancing entities, not the summoned ones. And I have learnt more about these beings over the last 3 years. Now, I'm going to be sharing my experiences, but also I opened up to a lady when we went away for a weekend to a rather haunted location here in Tasmania. And we were talking all things paranormal. And magic came up for a particular reason, and then I started talking about sex entities. I can't help myself. I just wanted to share. And it was interesting because this lady has had her own experiences. So I thought, why not do an updated episode talking about the fun-loving lives of sex entities? So stay tuned next week for a possibly shocking episode for some and a giggle for others. And you will definitely learn something new about the strange paranormal world around us. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the content of this podcast and you don't want to miss any future episodes, please subscribe. And you can share with your friends so we can get the message out there. We can spread the message about these paranormal pranksters and what they get up to in our homes. I would really appreciate it. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.